The last couple of days we have been solving equations. The first day we did this, we did one-step equations where you only had to do one thing to get x by itself and find the answer. Then yesterday we did two-step equations where you had to do two things to get x by itself and find the answer. Now today we're going to start working on multi-step equations where you have to do more than two things to find the answer. Okay, you may have to do 3 of these steps, you may have to do all 5. It's going to vary from problem to problem. You may have to do some steps more than once, like combining like terms, for example. You may have to combine like terms on the left side and on the right side. So before we go over some practice problems on solving multi-step equations, we're going to go over the steps to solving any problem in math class. This is for equations or inequalities when we get to them. First step is always to distribute. We always want to remove the parentheses first whenever we're working with any math problems. From now until the end of time, whenever you're working on a math problem, the first thing you want to do is get rid of the parentheses. Second, we're going to draw a border through the equal sign to separate the two sides. Next, we're going to combine like terms on each side of the equal sign. So combine the like terms on the left side and the like terms on the right side. We can never combine like terms that are on opposite sides of the equal sign. Fourth, we're going to add or subtract because we want to get all our x values or all our variables on the left side of the problem and all of our numbers on the right side. And then the last thing we'll do is multiply or divide so that we can get x by itself to equal our answer. And that'll be our solution. So now let's take a look at some examples of multi-step equations. First one we're going to start with is -2 times the quantity of x minus 5 equal to -4. So we're looking for the number that when we subtract 5 from it and then multiply by -2 is going to give us -4. First step when solving any equation is to get rid of the parentheses by distributing. So that's what we want to do first. We want to multiply everything inside the parentheses, the x and the -5, by whatever's outside the parentheses, which is -2. So -2 times x, -2 times -5. That's going to give us -2x, positive 10. Negative times a negative gives us a positive. After that step of distributing, because we've gotten rid of the parentheses, we want to draw the border. So I'm going to draw a line through the equal sign. Now I want to combine like terms. On the left side, I have a variable and a number. I can't combine those things together, so it's already simplified. On the right side, there's just a number by itself, so there's nothing for me to combine. Now I want to add or subtract to get all of my x's or my variables on the left side and all of my numbers on the right side of the problem. So as you can see in the problem, I already have all of my x's on the left. I just have the 1x, -2x, and it's already on the left side. Don't need to do anything with that. I do have a number on the left side, and I don't want any numbers on the left side. I want them to all be on the right side. So I'm going to get rid of this positive 10 by doing the inverse operation, or the opposite of adding 10, which would be to subtract 10. So I will subtract 10 from this side and subtract 10 from the other side. 10 minus 10 is going to cancel out or give me 0. So all I'm left with on this side is -2x. -4 minus 10 is going to give me -14. I know that it's -14 because I can put that in my calculator or use the calculator on my phone to make sure that I get that right. Now, after adding or subtracting, I have my x's on the left. I have a number on the right. Now I just need to multiply or divide so that I can get 1x by itself with equal to my answer. So the number in front of x is -2. In this problem, -2 is being multiplied to x. So I want to do the inverse operation of that, the opposite of multiplying -2, which would be dividing -2, or dividing by -2. So I'm going to divide both sides by -2. -2 divided by -2, anything divided by itself is 1. So it's going to cancel out or become 1x. And then negative 14 divided by negative 2. A negative divided by a negative is a positive. 14 divided by 2 is 7. So my answer is 1x equals 7 or just x equals 7. Next, let's try one where we have to combine like terms. So, still going to go through our 5 steps. First step in solving any problem is to distribute and remove the parentheses. I don't have any parentheses in this problem, so there's none for me to remove, so I can go on to the next step. Step 2 is to draw the border. So I'm going to draw a line through the equal sign to separate my 2 sides. Now I want to combine like terms on the same side of the equal sign. So I want to combine the like terms on the left side and then the like terms on the right side. So in this problem, I have an x, a number, and an x. I can put the 2 x's together. I can combine them because they're like terms. So 7 x's plus 3 more x's would give me a total of 10 x's. And then there's nothing for me to combine the negative 4 with, so I just put it at the end of the expression. Now this has been simplified as much as it can be. I have a variable and a number. I can't add or subtract variable and numbers. I can't combine them together, so I just have to leave it like that, 10x minus 4. On the right side, there's nothing for me to combine because there's just the 6 by itself. So I bring the 6 down. Now after I've combined like terms, I want to add or subtract. I want to make sure all my x's are on the right side of the left side of the problem. All the numbers are on the right side. I already have my x's on the left. There's no x on the right. There is a number on the left. I don't want any numbers on the left side. So I'm going to do the inverse operation of subtracting 4, or the opposite of subtracting 4, which would be to add 4 to both sides. Negative 4 plus 4 cancels out. Just leaves me 10x on the left side. 6 plus 4 gives me 10. So now I have my variable on the left, my number on the right. I can go to the final step, step 5, which is multiply or divide, so that I can have x equal my answer. So in the problem, we have 10 times x. 10 is being multiplied to x. We want to do the inverse operation of that. The opposite of multiplying by 10 would be to divide by 10. So I'm going to divide both sides by 10. 10 divided by 10 cancels out, or makes 1. So I have 1x. And then 10 divided by 10 is also 1. So my answer in this problem is x equals 1. If I was to go back and check that, I could plug a 1 in for x here and a 1 here. 7 times 1 would be 7. 7 minus 4 is 3. Plus 3 times 1, which would be 3. Then I have 3 plus 3, and that equals 6. So it all checks out. Finally, for our last example, we're going to put everything together. We're going to distribute, we're going to combine like terms, we're going to add, we're going to subtract, we're going to multiply, divide. So the first step, again, to solving any equation is to distribute and remove the parentheses. So I'm going to multiply everything in the parentheses, x and positive 2, by the number outside, the 4. So 4 times x, 4 times 2. 4 times x is 4x. 4 times 2 is 8. Then I'm going to bring down this negative 3 equals 17, because we haven't done anything with that yet. It's still part of the problem, just haven't gotten to that part yet. Step 2 is to draw the border. So I'm going to draw a line through the equal sign. Next step would be to combine like terms on each side of the equal sign. On the left side, I have a variable, a number, and a number. I can put the two numbers together. 8 minus 3, or positive 8 minus 3, is going to give me positive 5. So I have 4x plus 5 on the left, 17 on the right. Can't combine a variable and a number together. They don't add or subtract to each other. So this is simplified. There's only one thing on the right side, so there's nothing for me to combine it with. Next, I want to go to the add or subtract step. So I'm going to get all of my x's on the left, all of my numbers on the right. I already have my x's on the left. So I need to move this positive 5 by doing the inverse operation, or the opposite of adding 5, which would be to subtract 5. And I have to subtract 5 from this side to keep the equation equal. 5 minus 5 is going to cancel out or zero out. So all I have is 4x on the left. 17 minus 5 is going to give me 12. And now I want to go to, and now I have my variable on the left side, a number on the right side, and I go to the final step, which is to multiply or divide to get x equal to my answer. So in the problem, we have 4 times x. I want to do the opposite of multiplying 4. The inverse operation of that would be to divide by 4. So I'm going to divide both sides by 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1, so I have 1x. 12 divided by 4 is 3, and there's my answer. X equals 3.